It's no fun when our kids are sick, but we may just have found the silver lining. Apple and raspberry and orange flavoured electrolyte slushies made by Rehydrate.
Rehydrate slushies are a tasty way to get essential electrolytes into our little ones when they're dehydrated from sickness or even just the Aussie heat. They're delicious and they'll help your little ones feel better in no time. Grab Rehydrate from Coles today.
This is the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson. We're Luke and Susie, a husband and wife radio team with 3 young boys. This is the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants some answers now.
Our next guest is a doctor of psychology who writes for the New York Times and is featured in Sydney's Daily Telegraph, The Project, The Today Show, and of course the Luke and Susie radio show. A closet middle-aged man in Lycra and our family and parenting expert from happyfamilies.com.au. Please welcome father of 6 daughters, Dr. Justin Coulson.
I always get scared when I look over at Dr. Justin Coulson as one of these segments is about to start, and he's got the smuggest look on his face because I know that there is an epic dad joke on the way.
Hashtag dad joke. Yeah. I spotted an albino Dalmatian the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was the least I could have done for him. I spotted an albino Dalmatian. It was the least I could do.
I started getting that joke halfway through it.
Spotted an albino.
I took about 4 seconds afterwards, but you know, hey, we got there.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Oh, so good.
Now, I mentioned about how great it is to be able to implement Dr. Justin Coulson's strategies because it was a while ago he talked about family meetings. Mm-hmm. We've recently introduced family meetings into our house, Dr.
Really?
Justin,
Yeah.
and it has changed everything.
It's changed
Really?
everything. It's been brilliant.
It's 15 minutes a day. We've got it set as a set time every single day. But you know what it's done? It's changed behaviour at night. It's changed behaviour in the afternoon. It's changed everything because...
What are you doing?
Because we just sit there and we just go, here's some of the things that maybe are kind of going well for us. Here's some things that maybe we need to sort of adjust. So we're just, before anything gets out of control with whether they're helping or whether their rooms are good, occasionally we've gone, okay, so we know that our rooms are messy. So at the end of our family meeting, we're going one song clean up of our bedroom.
Yeah, like
and
a
just throwing 3 minutes
tidy.
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you know the big thing? One of our sons came to us in the family meeting and he said, when are we going to have our birthday party? And we'd forgotten about the birthday party
Because we
their
say
birthdays
this
are
is
in
your
May.
chance to raise issues.
Their birthdays are in May, but we moved in May, and so we said we'll do a late one. But he remembered. Now
After Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Outside of family meetings, we would have kept putting that conversation off and never done anything. But within that context, we were able to go, okay, well, let's have a look at it, and we've created an 8.5 birthday party.
The hilarious thing about it, Justin, is because when they said, where's our birthday party? And Susie goes, you're right. Maybe we could do something combined with Christmas. And the look on one of the 8-year-old's face was, No.
Not fair.
And I said, okay, so maybe we're having them separate.
They want presents.
What I love, though, about the whole family meeting thing is it doesn't have to be a big deal.
No.
You sit down, have a 10-minute chat. You talk about the good stuff. But, it's not we're going to discipline you and do all that sort of. It's just a conversation.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really good. We're all informed, all on the same page. It's working really well.
So, and it's just revolutionised the cleaning and the organisation of the house because if anything starts to not quite be right, we just have a casual chat in the morning. It never explodes.
Brilliant.
So good. Now, we've got to get to our question of the day.
Let's do it.
I love that recently we've had quite a few questions come through from dads, and this is another one. Michael sent it through. What limits or techniques have parents put in place to incentivise kids to
All of
limit
them.
their screen time?
They put them all in place and none of them worked.
Getting outside, exercising. So any good behaviour we want to see in our children, how do we incentivise it?
Okay, well, incentives only work in the short term. I was going to say they don't work, but they do. If you dangle a big enough carrot, somebody's going to take a bite at it. They're going to go for it. Incentives do work, but they really are a short-term fix. They're not the kind of thing that changes the way a person sees the world. And this kind of makes sense, right? If I say to my children, I'll give you $5 to tidy up your room,
It works for that time.
it works for that time. And usually when you
If
go
they want $5.
if they want $5, yeah.
The worst thing is they go, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I need more. And sometimes you go and check the room and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, they did not do this at all. They've stuffed the clothing under the bed and they've just made an absolute mess of
Sometimes.
yeah. So incentives tend to lead to people taking shortcuts. It doesn't drive any of the desirable behaviour over the long term. There are better things to do. And I think the best thing for us to do is to tap into what two University of Rochester researchers, Ed Deasy and Rich Ryan, have talked about for about 30 years now. They've identified these 3 basic psychological needs. They say if you meet these 3 basic psychological needs, you can help people to have an intrinsic desire to do things rather than, parents being the police and saying, you need to get outside and jump on the trampoline for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the kids will watch the clock while they're doing it. And so these basic psychological needs are, first of all, you want to make it relational. Secondly, you want to make it competence building. And third, you want to make it something that they feel like they have a sense of choice and volition for. This is actually why screens are so enticing, by the way, because on their screens, they're with their friends. On their screens, they're developing competence and mastery, whether they're social mediaing or whether they're gaming. And they feel like they can do whatever they want. They've got this incredible freedom, autonomy and volition. Our goal, therefore, is to find things that are off screens that help them to feel connected to others, that help them to feel like they're improving and getting better at things, and that help them to have a sense that I'm freely choosing this because it brings me joy. It's purposeful, it's meaningful, it's helping me to develop as a person.
This has just made sense of our eldest son's recent cubing addiction, like Rubik's cubing. It's building competence. He's got friends who do the same thing. He's competing, so he's got measures to see that he's improving with it, and he's got so much freedom with it as well.
Yeah, it's not just the son that's becoming obsessed with it.
It makes
the dad might.
I can see it on your face.
It makes so much sense.
As he puts the cube down mid-conversation.
I'm actually thinking, gosh, I don't have my cube close to me.
So can I ask then, in all of these things, whether it's exercise or screen time, how much does parental example play a part?
Well, it certainly is important. If our children see us consistently in front of screens, they're going to think that that's the norm. You know, the culture, as we talked about in a recent conversation, culture is the collective behavior of the group. So if the group is sitting in front of screens all day and all night, then that's what those who are entering the group or growing into the group will think is normal. It's critical that, and there's quite a bit of research that shows that parents who, for example, exercise, have children who are more likely to exercise, or parents who do this, their children, monkey see, monkey do. That's what the kids do.
Yeah, if you surf, they're likely to surf.
Yeah, that's right. And part of that is because we try to give our children the same positive experiences that we've enjoyed ourselves. But part of it is and part of it's resource oriented, but partly it's just the kids see that that's what you do, and so that's what you do.
Yeah.
It's
so good.
It's a valuable thing for us to wrap our head around, because it feels like it's one of those things that no matter how close to getting it we think we are, that then the next day comes around and we realize we're a long way off. I would imagine this is a dynamic challenge that what works one week may not necessarily, but if we're constantly focused, and this is why the principles rather than the individual strategies. Yeah,
exactly. There's a couple of other things that you can do as well. In addition to helping your children to be engaged in activities that are going to build relationships, help them to feel like they're developing and doing something purposeful in their lives, we can do a couple of other things to make it less convenient to use those devices. So, for example, in our home, we've put the television in the room furthest from everyone and everything. It's a pain to go to the media room. It's literally the rumpus room right out the back, and nobody actually wants to be there because you've got to go downstairs and you've got to go down the dark corridor, and then you're kind of away from everyone and everything. Nobody will hear you scream in the rumpus room.
Right.
And so that's the only television that we have in the house. We don't have screens unless they're being used in public areas. The kids don't take their screens into their rooms. We have a whole list of different things that make access to those devices a little bit more friction-full rather than friction-free. You've got to work hard. We don't make it easy, which means that the children find other things to do because other things are easier. We moved the trampoline so that the children can literally jump off our back deck and be on the trampoline. And we've been able to do it in a way that's completely safe for them. So they're not sort of jumping 6 feet or anything like that. And so the trampoline has actually become the go-to place because it's literally 3 steps from the back deck.
Yeah.
And they're on the tramp. It's about creating an environment that invites and pulls our children towards activities other than screens.
So good.
As we wrap up, just an aside, one of the things that we had done in the past before we spent as much time with you is to use the lack of access to the screens as a punishment in a sense.
Right.
To say, well, then you're banned from YouTube for the day.
Makes them want it more.
But our kids are incredible, and this is not good management, I don't think. This is just pure good luck in who they are, that they honoured the ban and didn't try and sneak their way around it. And so like they would come back the next day and go, am I allowed to use it now? Am I allowed to get back on? And we'd give them permission. So they would honour this almost every time. The problem was one time when I was a little bit stressed and I knew I was going to ban them from YouTube and from using any device. All devices gone. I didn't, and they said, how long for? And I said, until further notice.
Oh.
Right? I forgot about it. And it was about a week later, one of my sons came and said, "Can I use devices yet?"
That's
and I went,
amazing.
"Oh my
They
gosh,
are
he's not been
amazing
using
boys.
it for a week, and he's been on it, and I've even forgotten about it." And he just didn't use them for a week, and it came like, "Is now enough time?" I went, "Okay, now." I know that you wouldn't approve, but I thought it was a funny
No,
story. anyway.
I'm laughing. It's a great story.
Dr. Justin Coulson, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
To find out more info on all of Justin's books, podcasts and programs, you can go online to happyfamilies.com.au, and to find out how to have Justin come and speak at your school, organisation or event, go to justincoulson.com.